Hey YouTube, got another verse that I need some clarifying for from theists. This one is Exodus 21, 7 through 11. If a man sells his daughter as a servant, she is not to go free as male servants do. If she does not please the master who has selected her for himself, he must let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to the foreigners because he has broken faith with her. If he selects her for his son, he must grant her the rights of a daughter. If he marries another woman, he must not deprive the first one of her food, clothing, and marital rights. If he does not provide her with these three things, she is to go free without any payment of money. Now again, I'm going to just jump right to this. Everyone always says, well, you're taking something out of context. Okay, so just to be fair, I read from the beginning of the chapter down through, down through 36, verse 36, and it goes into personal injuries and stuff. I'm not going to get into the personal injuries in this video because those are, well, they can take up a whole other video in and of themselves. But, going back to the beginning of the servants bit, first off, what kind of sick person is going to sell their daughter? Period. I mean, I don't care how destitute somebody is, unless there was like some grand scheme of pretending to sell yourself for money to get away. You know, I mean, like, and even then, you could argue the immorality of that through the deception and lying and all that crap. There's really no way to justify this. I'm waiting to hear somebody actually say, oh, well, this equals this because that's how it was, and there was no other way. You know, I mean, something that would make sense. But to sit there and just keep telling me, like everyone always does, things were different. It was a different time and all that stuff. Again, that seems to be the only excuse that theists can come up with to defend this piece of trash. And that's exactly what it is. I cannot believe that anybody would defend a creature that would make these laws. And it's not like there's a couple of them. And right at the beginning it goes, if you buy a Hebrew servant, he is to serve you for 6 years. When was it ever okay to buy a human? I mean, we abolished that crap. We got rid of that stuff. You know, thank God for progress. And for somebody to sit there and say, well, things were different, you know what? If God is the Almighty God, who is setting down laws and setting standards, there really should be no difference between today and then. If back then it was as immoral as it is today, God would have simply said, look, if you sell your daughter, you're inclined to have your penis chopped off. Oops, I already commanded that one too. Servants, slaves, it's not acceptable. And I will add this part about the injuries. There's a bit in here, 21 verse 20. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. Okay, so to be clear, anyone who keeps trying to make the confusion of the semantic bullshit that there is a difference between a slave and a servant, you're playing semantics and you're only playing with yourself, okay? Right here it's very clear. They're saying servant and slave, and right here it says the slave is their property. Property. Not employed, not working for, not paying off a debt or something like that. No. Property. And as a result of being property, you can beat them. As long as they don't die, you can kill your property. I wonder how you'd feel about your daughter being beaten to death because she was somebody else's property. Anybody who's got a response for this, I'd love to hear it. But the fact is, I don't think ever anyone will ever even get close to coming up with even a philosophy that helps to explain this crap. All theists have is, oh, well, things were different. Oh, we don't understand. Or my favorite, oh, well, you just aren't holy enough to understand. I'm really fed up with that one, quite frankly. You're not in the mindset of God. You can't understand unless you're... You know what? I don't need to be in the mindset of anything other than a decent human being to know that slavery is not acceptable. I don't need to be in any other mindset than a moderate, contemporary, decent human to know that beating someone because they're your property. First off, to have a human as property is despicable. But then to think it's okay to beat them because of that and get away with, like, there's no penalty. The only time you get penalized is if they die. And if they die, well, then you are in trouble. Ooh, okay, so just beat the crap out of somebody and make sure they don't die, and you'll be alright. I'd love to see that one fly in the courts today. In this nation that is built on Christian standards and morals, supposedly, I'd love to see how this would fly down in court. No, Your Honor, she was my daughter, and therefore I have the right to sell her. And then the other guy, she's my property, so therefore I have the right to beat her. Hey, you try that one out, Christians, and see how that flies. Anyway, this has been K7 Letha with another rant about the immorality of the Bible. I hope somebody has a good response. And, surprise me. Thanks, guys.